the divine masculine and the divine feminine was sort of a concept that I really didn't understand until I started looking at my father differently. And I started to begin to understand that our house had a certain feel to it because my father had a certain energy to him. And, you know, he went and unlocked the church every Sunday. He was the superintendent of the Sunday school, deacon. He had 2 jobs. He was like personal savior to people. He was the person, the kind of guy. There was 3 or 4 guys in that little circle. Everybody called when they got into trouble. He was the guy who beat up bullies, made up big adult bullies. You know, my father was one of these guys. He was big hands, very dark skin, very white voice. You know, the kind of voice that would scare you just to hear it. An intimidating kind of a person. But he was very just. And his grandfather had raised him to be more like gentle most of the time, which didn't always work. He yelled at us a lot, but basically my father was the kind of person that, you know, the people that he was really going to yell at, when he was really truly yelling, were bad people. So you didn't want to do really bad things to somebody around my father's. He would snatch you up, and you didn't want that. With us, you know, when I became older, I began to see that the few times that we got spankings and yelled, we definitely deserved it. You know, more than deserved it. But the point is that there was an energy that he put into the house that is hard to understand until you live there. And I think that, you know, men are always broadcasting. And I used to think that divine masculine energy was a celestial term, that you needed an angel to channel it down here, you know. But no, I don't believe that anymore. I believe that divine masculine is when he decides to do something to heal humanity. That's a manifestation of divine masculine energy. And I think that divine masculine energy is when he's sitting here working the camera instead of being someplace, maybe drinking beer, watching a game. You can find divine masculine in the way some men manifest in their own energy. Okay? And so, I believe that divine masculine, the definition of it is this. When a man's energy matches his original natal energy, and that man grows up and becomes as close as he can become to becoming the God in him, that's divine energy. So, when you grow up as your original self, and you try to become bring out the God in you as much as you can. I mean, in each lifetime, if you're a slave, there's only so much you can do. If you're the dictator of Ethiopia, there's only so much you can do. If you're a corporate person, there's only so much you can do. But to the extent of what you can, if you try to bring the God inside of you out, I think that's it. And the same for the female. The female divine energy, we can recognize it a little better because they have babies. So we know that they're capable of creation. Men are capable of creation also. But with the female, it's physical. So when we talk about these things, it's very important. Why? Because they have practical applications. Now, when we start making these studies and doing these things, we learn certain things that are very useful to us. For instance, most of you know about the chakras and the auras and that kind of stuff, right? Okay. But we have to take this to a place where it's practical. So what we have understood is that we've been able to see and understand the energetic body better, so that we know a woman has an energy womb. We know about the cauldron where the kundalini is made. You know, you have the master yin meridian in the front, master yin meridian in the back, and it collects all of the chi, the raw chi. It combines in the cauldron and becomes kundalini. And you are generating about 3-4% of your kundalini capacity. And you can learn to amp that up to 6-7. If you get to like 12-13%, you're a pretty rough person. You get to about 35-40%, they'll think you're Jesus. So Now, when we're dealing with this kundalini and this chi and all of this stuff like that, we have to understand that there's also a uterus, which we call the womb, and there's also an energetic uterus, an energetic womb, an energetic ovary. Each of your glands has an energy counterpart and a physical counterpart. And they both act together. So, when you understand the dynamics of the uterus and the womb and the cervix and all of that, that's important. But just as important is to understand the software operating it, the energy body, the part of the aura that's connected to it. So we know that when a woman awakens her master feminine faculty as she's trying to bring her divine energy forward, what does she do? She does something very, very critical. She tries to bring out, she goes through puberty, and she starts manifesting the attributes that separate her from a man. And one of those things that she wants to do is she wants to find a man, and she wants him to basically penetrate her. So 13-year-old, 14-year-old girls, this is a drive that comes on them at that age. Why? Because they want an energy to use as the template of male energy to learn how to design their feminine self. This is what the energy body does. And why does it do this? Because the great God in His infinite wisdom knew that societies would change. So that female young girl, she doesn't just want to become any woman. She wants to become a woman that's most compatible to the men of her times. So the first 3 men that she makes love to, they imprint her energy womb. And she designs a program to attract men like that to her the rest of her life. And to attract situations like that the rest of her life. And this explains why she has a certain sexual portfolio and profile that does not match her emotional profile. Because she's only been taught about her physical womb. Some of them taught about that. But she hasn't been taught about her psychic or celestial or divine womb. So these things have practical applications because we have learned how to cleanse that imprint out of the energy womb so that she can start fresh. That's one of the things that Tantra does. And for the man, we have a lot of wounded men walking around. And I'm not even going to get into some of the more dicier subjects of people who don't know if they're quite male or female, because that's complicated. That's above my pay grade. I'm not going to go there. But I'm just going to say that when a man begins to have wet dreams and things like that, and when he's a young boy, say 11, 12, 13, whatever, what's causing his physical body to do all of this is that his energy body has awoken, what we call the masculine faculty. And it's beginning to cause his physical body to match the energy in his auric field, in this masculine energy field. And so we have to understand that it's looking for certain things in the environment to determine how it's going to develop the psyche of that young boy. It's not looking to say we're going to make you based on your DNA alone. It's using the DNA as its main recipe. But it's looking at the environment to say, based on the environment that you're in, this is the kind of man that we're going to make you. So if he's in an environment that is telling him that he's not a man, that he's not this, he's not that, if it does not validate him, if it does not tell him that we're expecting you one day to be a full-grown man with responsibility, if the school system isn't trying to get the best out of him, if he doesn't feel, then he begins to develop a faulty program in his reproductive system. His reproductive mentality.
That makes so much sense.
Are y'all following the program?
Yes, it's about design.
So I'm telling you a small stuff because we're running out of time. The point I'm trying to say is that Tantra, I'm going to get to the good pleasure part again. That's what we're going to end on that.
Open up the heart center, doesn't it? Absolutely. So let's just be mindful of doing that daily and just sharing the best part of who we are. And so now we're going to move in to our presentation. We'll get right to it. And, you know, how many people have heard of the term Tantra? Anybody here? Raise your hand. Outstanding. You know, we're honored to be here this evening. We're all in a relationship, even if it's a relationship with the self, a relationship with the Creator, our God, nature, so to speak. We're all in a relationship. And so, what kind of relationship are we cultivating with ourselves, with others? Wherever we are, we can enhance it and make it better. And so, this good brother I met probably back in '97. I was doing a series of natural health festivals in the area, and he was just writing a book at the time. And we were fortunate enough to actually have him do a few presentations there. And I took a workshop of his back in, I believe, '97, '98. And it was very instrumental just in creating a shift within myself, seeing relationships from another vantage point. And so we're honored to be here this evening. Anybody in here in a relationship, raise your hand. Everybody, because I just said we're in a relationship with ourselves. Now listen to that. Absolutely. And so, you know, with that being said, he's written a number of books. One that I'm very fond of is a book called the Natural Blueprint for Relationships. And he has other books as well that he's going to share and speak on. But this evening, he's going to speak on something and present on something that we all should become more familiar with. How to relate with ourselves and how to relate with others from a more holistic point of view. And so with that being said, he's been in the metaphysics for probably over 25, 30 years. He's a priest, he's probably a shaman, a holistic healer, spiritual counselor, life coach, a number of titles. Most important